it prints the combination of 3 digits for each iteration of the loop. The output will be all possible combination of 3 digits from 1 to 3, like 1, for example 111, 112, 113, 121, 122, 123. Now I'm gonna run the program. I think the same will like same 111, 112, 113, 121, like same it will print 3 digits. Let's move on to the next program. So in this program, int I comma num ends with semicolon declares two integer variables I for the loop counter and now num to store the user input number. Printf bar n, next line, enter the number 2 dot and opens with open double quote and ends with double quote. So prints a message of promoting the user to enter a number. Scanf read an integer from the user and it's stored in the variable number. For loop for I equal to 1 ends with semicolon, I lesser than or equal to 10, I plus plus. The loop iterates from 1 to 10. The print statement %d, it represents the integer, star represent multiple, %d equal to %d bar in the next line. It ends with opens with open double quote and ends with double quote. Num comma num multiple of I prints the multiplication table for the entered number. For each iteration of the loop, it prints the multiplication of number comma I. It like if I give a number 2, the first iteration will be 1 and second iteration will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but the number is same. Likewise, now I'm gonna run the program. If I give 2, it prints this is the num value. The number is same. The iteration must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from 1 to 10. If I am given 9, the same. Sorry, 9 number is same. It is it iterates from 1 to 10. Let's move on to the next program. So in the program, int y, it declares an integer variable y, float I comma x, ends with semicolon, declares a floating point variables I and x. For y equal to 1 ends with semicolon, y lesser than or equal to 6 ends with semicolon, y plus plus. The outer loop iterates through value of y from 1 to 6. Then the next loop, it means it's in the inner loop for x equal to 5.5 ends with semicolon, x lesser than or equal to 12.6 ends with semicolon, I plus equal to 0.5. The inner loop iterates through the value of x from 5.5 to 12.5 with a step of 0.5 value. Now the print statement and the calculation is I equals to 2 plus bracket of y plus 0.5 multiplied by x ends with semicolon, calculates the value of I based on the formula. The printf statement is printf starts with the open double quote, y equals to %d represents the integer, x equal to %f represents the floating point, I equal to %f represents the floating point, bar n represents the next value, next line y comma x comma I, ends with semicolon. Print the value of y, x and I. The program generates the print value for x, y and I for various combination y and x are based on the given loop and formula. The output will be a series of line with the different values, like it will comes y equals to 1 to 6 and x equal to 5.5 and 5.5 to 12.5. so now I'm gonna run the program. Likewise y equal to 1 to 6, likewise x equal to 5.5 to 12.5. again for the next y2 it will resets, likewise the same it prints. So let's move on to the next program. In the program, float q r n p a insert semicolon declares floating point variable for the compounding period q. R represent rate of interest, n represent number of years, p represent principal amount, a represents total amount. For I equals to 1 insert semicolon, I lesser than 10 insert semicolon, I plus plus. It's an iteration and it ends with 10. The loop iterates for 10 set of input values. The user inputs for principal amount, rate of interest, number of years and compounding period using scanf. And the compound interest calculation is a equals to p multiple represent star, pow means power, open bracket and open bracket 1 plus open bracket r divided by q close bracket comma open bracket n star q close bracket insert semicolon. It calculates the total amount using the compound interest formula. Now the printf statement, it prints the total amount to the console. Now the output will be, the program promotes the user to enter the value for principal amount, rate of interest, number of years and compounding period. For each set of input values, it calculates and prints the total amount using the compound interest formula. For example, now I'm gonna run the program. The principal amount equal to 5, 8, rate of interest 9, FS 7, compound interest 5. By using the compound interest formula, it finds the total amount. Now moving on to the next program. So in the program, int I j k insert semicolon declares the 3 integer variables I, j and k. The 3 nested loops iterated over the values of I, j and k from 1 to 30. It is like an Pythagorean theorem. It's like a square plus b square equal to c square. Likewise, if I multiple of 8 means a square plus j star j it represents b square equal to k star k, it represents c square. Likewise, it checks if the current combination of I, j and k forms a Pythagoras theorem. The print statement is %d bar n. It starts with a double quote and ends with a double quote I, j, k. It prints the Pythagoras theorem to the console. The program must be whether the sides of all the integers are less than or equal to 30. So now I'm gonna run the program. Like it all like less than or equals to 30. So let's move on to the next program. In the program, char represents character name is suit, character suit equals to 3, ends with semicolon. It declares a character variable suit and initialized it with the value 3. This is the program of switch case. Switch statement based on the value of suit. Switch cases are: case 1, if suit is 1, it prints diamond and fall through to the next case. If switch case 2, if suit is 2, it prints spade and falls to the default case. Default, if suit is neither 1 or 2, it prints heart. After the switch case statement, there is a print statement outside the switch that says I thought 1 wears a suit. This statement will be executed regardless of the value of the suit. The output of this program will be diamond is not printed because now I'm gonna run the program. In this program, diamond is not printed because there is no break statement after case 1. As the result, control falls to the next case. After printing spade, control continues to the default case and prints the heart. So the final printed value outside the switch. So it prints heart. I thought 1 wears a suit. Let's move on to the next program. In this program, int c equals to 3 declares an integer variable c and it initializes to the value 3. Switch case, it is also a switch case based on the value c. Case 3, if c is the character 3, it prints you never always lose the good price and breaks out of the switch. Default, if c is neither 3 nor 3, it prints of course provided you win a prize. The output c is an integer with the value 3. The second case 3 is executed, the output will be, now I'm gonna run the program. You will always lose the good price. The single quotes around 3 in the case 3 make it a character literal, not an integer. So therefore it doesn't match the value of c, which is an integer. So let's move on to the next program. So in the program, int I equals to 3 declares an integer variable I and initializes it with the value 3. It is also in switch case. The switch statement is based on the value I. Switch case 0, it prints customers or dice e. and it breaks the statement, and there is no break statement. Case 1, printf markets are pricey. It executes the code and block for this case and falls to the next case. Case 4 divided by 2, it means case 2. It prints the investors are moody, and bar n represents the next line, and it's started with the double quote and it's ended with the double quote and ends with the semicolon. Case 3, percentage 8 percentage 5, it means case 3. It prints, the print statement is, it's open, it started with the open double quotes and ended with the double quote in the bracket. The printf statement is at least employees are good, bar n represents in the next line, and it ends with the semicolon. Now I'm gonna run the program. There is a error. Now I'm gonna rectify. Well, now I'm gonna rectify the mistake. We haven't included the bracket, so now the program will run. Yeah, it will print at least members are good, like it executes the code block for all cases after the match case. It creates a cascading effect. If we want to stop the cascading behavior, we need to include a break statement for after each case. So let's move on to the next program. Yeah, well, in the program, int k, it declares an integer variable float j equal to 2.0, ends with a semicolon. It declares an floating point variable. It's a switch case. In the previous video also we have discussed, it is based on the switch case statement. In the switch case, case 3, it checks if the result k equals to j plus 1 is equal to 3. If it's true, it prints trapped, or else it's break out of the switch. Default, if the result is equals to 3, it prints caught, or else it doesn't. So now I'm gonna run the program. If it's true, it trapped, or else it will. Yes, I think k equals to j plus 1 is equals to 3. It's gonna true, so it prints trapped. So let's move on to the next program.
Character case 1, case b, small a, small b, it represents printf you entered b bar n. If case a and case b, if case a is prints a as in the char or n, b if case b plus small b plus small a, it prints you have entered b or in the next line. So now I'm gonna run the program. The output is you entered a and b, the next line. Okay, let's go on to the next program. In the program, integer I equals to 1. This is a switch case program. There's a switch I minus 2. It means I equals to 1, minus 2 represents 1 minus 2 equals to minus 1. If minus 1 occurs, it prints the case 1 statement, like printf feeding fish. If I equal to 2, I 2 minus 2, it comes 0. It prints weeding grass. Then it comes 3. Then 3 minus 2 equal to 1. Likewise, it's gonna print. Then 4, 5, 6. Likewise, the printf statement will be printed. So now I'm gonna run the program. So it prints feeding fish, weeding grass, mending roof, and just to survive. Let's move on to the next program. Well, it is also a switch case program we have seen in the previous videos. So there is a error in the program, so I'm gonna rectify the program. I'm gonna rectify the error. So there is a error in case 0. So yeah, case 0 consists not semicolon, this symbol. So well, in the switch case also semicolon not represent. Now I'm gonna run the program. It runs. Now suit equals to 1, switch suit. So if 1, prints diamond because it's case 1. If it's 0, it prints club and diamond. Okay, let's move on to the next program. This is also in the program. This is also a switch case program. In temp, scanf is used to get the input, and AND operator is used to assign the input. So switch temp. So case 1, case 2, case 3, there are according to their input. If temp greater than or equal, lesser than or equal to 20, it prints this. It's temp. If temp lesser than 20 and temp lesser than or equal to 30, it prints rain here again. If temp greater than 30 and temp lesser than or equal to 40, wish I am on Everest, or default good old Nagpur weather. So I think it's an error because there is an error in the program because relational operators cannot be used in cases. Relational operation is nothing but equals to, greater than or equal to, lesser than or equal to this and that are. So there's an error in the program. Let's move on to the next program. Well, in this program, this is also a switch case program. We have seen this concept in the previous videos, so I'm gonna explain now. Int a equals to 3. Int a is an integer value. Switch a means it's switch 3. So it prints C through C because it's the case 3. It prints this value. So I'm gonna run. It's C through C. So well, let's move on to the next program. Let's see one more example of this program. If I give C1, it prints the art of C. Yes, it's art of C. If I'm given 4, it prints simply C. So let's move on to the next program. Well, this is also a switch case program. Well, I'm gonna explain. It is taken in float and it prints like simply C, but it won't print, I think so, because floats cannot be used in cases, switch case, so I think it won't run. Yeah, that there's a error because case label does not reduce an integer constant, because float cannot be used in cases. That's a error in the program. So let's move on to the next program. Well, this is also a switch case program. Int integers, 2 integers. C subject. C represents class, sub represents subject. It prints if we enter the class and number of subjects fail, it prints the students get how much marks and grace marks it it tells like if scanf percentage d represents the input value, percentage d represents the input value, and ampersand is to assign the input. From scanf is used for getting inputs. So switch c represents class. Now there are three cases. Likewise, if I'm, for example, if I'm given if I run the program, there's an error. Well, now I'm gonna rectify there's error. I have rectified the error. So let's run the program. If there's a case 3, so enter the class, it's 3, and the subject is equals to 1, so I'm entering 1. It prints student gets 5 grace marks in the case 3. So now I'm gonna enter the student gets 5 grace mark, or else it prints according to the condition. Now again I'm gonna run the program. If I'm given another any like randomly 9 is not there in the case, even I'm giving 9 and 3, I'm gonna enter. You entered wrong, wrong class entered, cause there is no 9th class and 3 subjects. So let's end the program and let's move on to the next program. Well, in the program it declares a function named check that takes an integer parameter ch. If ch is greater than or equal to, it checks the value of ch is greater than or equal to 45. If it is true, it returns to 100. If it is false, it returns to 10 star 10, which is 100. 10 star represents multiple operator. The value of I is 45. So check I is called the condition. Ch is greater than or equal to in check function is true, therefore the function returns 100. So let's run the program. It prints 100 cause it's written 100. So let's move on to the next program. Well, in this program float value is taken cause it prints the decimal values. Float of circle int with semicolon, float area and int radius, the value of radius equal to 1. The formula of area equal to circle into radius. So it prints f represents the float value and the next line area. So float a represents a equal to 3.14 into r. The value of r is 1. So 3.14 into 1 into 1, it prints 1. It returns 1. So now I'm gonna run the program. It prints 3.14000. Let's move on to the next program. Well, in this program we have used an void leap year int. This is the program of to find the year is leap year or not. The condition is if year %4 is equal to 0 and year %100 not equal to 0 and year %400 equals to 0, printf this is a leap year or else it is a not an leap year. So here leap year it's given because it's calling the function. So now I'm gonna run the program. So scanf and printf are here. Scanf is used to getting the input. Printf is we have to enter the year. It tells it's an leap year or not. So now I'm gonna enter 2020. 2020 is a leap year cause it is divisible by 4 and undivisible by 100 and divisible by 400. Well, now I'm gonna enter 2020 and it's a leap year. Now I'm gonna enter 2002. It is not divisible by 100. So 2002 is not a leap year, so it tells is not in leap year. We'll move on to the next program. In the program, it declares a function named fun that takes two integer parameters and return void. The main in the main function where the program execution begins, int I equal to 5, j equals to 2 declares and initializes two integer variables I and j. Fun fun of ij, it calls the function fun with the values I and j. Printf, it prints ij, percentage represents integer, percentage represents integer, bar and represents the next value. In the statement I equals to I star I ends with semicolon, it modifies the local copy of I by squaring it. The same occurs in j. So the output fun modifies its local copies of I and j, but these changes do not affect the original values of I and j. So the main function will be the output must be like I equal to 5 and j equals to 2. So let's print the program. So exactly the same 5 and 2. Let's move on to the next program. Well, in the previous program we have seen the same topic. There's it declares the function fun that takes two integer variables parameters and return void. Int I equal to 5, j equals to 2. So if fun and represents the for assigning the inputs I and j. So the main statement is void star I and star j. If I 5, two stars are occurring, so multiple the value 5 into 5 25 and j into j 2 into 2 4. So the output must be 25 and 4. I'm gonna run the program. So I think so 25 4. So let's move on to the next program. Well, in the program int I equals to 0, I plus plus, it is incremented I 1 2 3 4 5 6 likewise. If I is lesser than or equal to 5, it prints c add wings to their thought of n exit 0. So it prints c adds wing to our thoughts cause now I equal to 0. So it prints c add two wings to our thoughts. Let's move on to the next program. Well, in this program int I is declared for I equals to 0 insert semicolon I lesser than or equal to 5000. It prints I plus plus plus, it means its increments. So it prints the statement I lesser than or equal to 5000. It prints, I'm gonna run the program. It prints 0 to 5000. So let's check. Sorry, it's print. It prints 0 to 50,000, I think so. So let's move on to the next program. Well, in this video there is a float value float a equal to 13.5 and the new data type is used, the double b. Double is used to store decimal numbers with more digit. Double has almost twice the precision as float is used. So percentage f represents float, percentage lf represents double. So now it's gonna now I'm gonna run the program. So it prints the output. Let's move on to the next program.